Hello and welcome to the Nailed On FPL podcast with John and Kris. We're in the middle of double game week 26, the largest ever double game week, both having mixed results this week to say, but we're now going to look ahead into the game weeks in front of us. There's still lots of quite complicated stuff to work through. And the first thing on our mind is next week, Man City have a confirmed double game week, as to Southampton. So let's jump straight into it, Kris. So what's the play with this?
Yeah, well, obviously, do you look at Saints players at all? Probably not for me. Obviously, they're losing. We should just say that Everton Saints are playing at the moment. I think Everton have just scored again, so it's now 2-0. So Saints not looking the best. Going up against a City side that, is it 20 wins in a row? So City assets are obviously essential, but I think we need to sort of break that down. Obviously, lots of managers have got two Man City defenders. And probably Gundogan or Sterling in midfield. Do we want to talk a little bit about KDB?
Yeah, so first of all, I agree with you on Saints. I would not be touching them. Horrendously out of form. No player is justified, in my opinion, now. So Man City, so this was all part of my personal plan, and I controversially removed John Stones, who I predicted would not play the second game. And obviously that hasn't happened yet. And when this episode comes out, I could be stung. He could play both of them, and it could look like the worst transfer ever. But I was essentially planning for this week, going for the aggressive play. So I only have two Man City players in my squad, and I will be going Bruno to KDB, captained as planned, unless something happens. So the only benefit of you doing that is to give yourself a stronger captaincy option, because I'm assuming, Kris, if you don't plan a transfer like that, are you just going to captain Gundo or go for Diaz maybe?
No, it'd be likely Gundogan, really, unless there was any concerns on his fitness or anything. I mean, obviously there's Cancelo as well, but I just think he's not. Is he likely to start both games? I can't really be too sure with Pep, can we? Diaz is more likely, but I like the higher ceiling of Gundogan, really.
And I think lots of managers are going to follow you there as well. Like, he's part of the template, quite obviously, and his effective ownership is going to be really high, probably maybe around 150% plus. So by opposing him, again, it's a high variance play. And I think the only justification is unless you have one of the big price assets like KDB or Sterling, providing you're confident about rotation. And no one can be confident. But if you're going to oppose Gundo, I think KDB for me is the only real one that is kind of justified. But again, it's a really high variance play. I'm going for it. I like this aggressive approach. I think it's the right approach too. But I think it's fairly straightforward. This, if you have the three, I would do what you're doing, Kris. If you have maybe just two Man City players, Bruno to KDB is going to be a really good option in my opinion.
Yeah, and I wouldn't rule out Sterling either if you wanted to go Bruno to Sterling. I think because he didn't play at the weekend, there's probably more likely to play the next three maybe. But KDB just if he's on form, he's a great player to own, and he's going to be a huge differential and an amazing one at that as well, isn't he?
Yeah, so I think we're definitely in agreement here. It's fairly straightforward. Lots of these players are part of the template anyway. But where it gets a bit more complicated is then looking at the two different chip strategies, which we talked about in the last episode. So the two leading ones are you either have your wildcard or you don't. And if you have your wildcard, you're probably building towards game week 30 or 31. And if you don't have it, you're in essentially Kris's shoes. You played the wildcard. So what's your plan now as you kind of look ahead?
Yeah, so obviously I've just played the wildcard this week. My plan was always to prioritise, a lot of the players that obviously have a fixture in 29, so I wasn't shooting myself in the foot with that. But also obviously targeting 27 by having free City, and also the potential double in 28 with Villa and Everton. We still haven't had that fixture announced, and it may move later on, which would be a bit of a shame. But that's sort of what a lot of my plan is based around, because I've got the bench boost left as well. So if you've got that, it's sort of a good time to use it. And when that fixture happens, really, whether that's in 28 or 30, 31, 32 when it could happen as well. But yeah, I mean, I've built my team to at least still be strong after 30, I guess. But I will still need to be looking forward to make it even stronger because, you know, not all the teams that are playing at 29 are really strong. So, and there's going to be some more blanks down the road as well.
A point for you as well, and we talked about this beforehand, like going into game week 29, obviously you're going to have Leeds players, you're going to have Villa players who both have fixtures, one of the few teams who have fixtures in that particular slot. But then when you look a bit further ahead, getting to game week 31 and 32, you've got two horrendous fixtures for Leeds and Villa. I believe they both play Liverpool and City. I think it's Villa play Man U as well. Like it's a horrendous run of fixtures. And I mean, that's where those with the wild card are going to have a bit of an advantage. I guess for you, you're going to be set up well for 29, but then it's kind of pivoting around those fixtures as well, because there's a lot of very attractive assets from those teams, but you're not going to want to be playing like Matt Target against, you know, Man City.
No, exactly. And, you know, that's why I guess built the team that I should be able to withstand that, you know, with the two City defenders as well. I should always have at least a decent defence up there because at the moment you trust them against anyone, wouldn't you, with their defence?
Yeah, for sure.
How many clean sheets they're keeping. Obviously, you just don't know who's going to play apart from Diaz and Edison. But yeah, that's sort of my strategy at the moment. But obviously, it's just important for you guys to just keep looking ahead as we get some of these fixtures announced. And obviously, if you already use the wild card, just have a little think about that. What you want to do after 29? Can you bank a transfer potentially going into 30? So you've got two transfers to start making your team a little bit stronger. Obviously, for those that have still got the wild card, it's probably now a very good time, to hold on to it. Try and dead end the team, which we did mention in the last episode, John, but we probably want to.
We did
a little bit more to that.
I mean, yeah, that's my exact strategy, and those that are doing that hopefully are also going to be able to field a fairly strong team in 29. Like, obviously, Kris, you played the wild card, so you gave yourself 9-10 players for that week, a really good position. But where I took a -8 4 transfers this week, which to me felt like a justified. It looks like a pretty crazy move, but it was I'd like to think a well calculated move. Hasn't worked out necessarily, but we're still in the middle of the game week. Anyway, looking ahead, I will be targeting the wild card in 31. So you do have you actually have a near perfect fixture for Leeds, Villa, Tottenham, and Everton in game week 30. So if you're able to bring forward the players you already have, lots of the popular picks, DCL, Watkins, Luca Dean, Martinez, all of those players, Bamford, Rafinha, all of those players are going to have huge value in game week 30. The problem is after 30, lots of those players, all of a sudden, the fixtures flip around, and that's going to be the optimal time to play a wild card. And that's where, once again, I can move back to lots of the kind of template players. But I will be looking at the fixtures ahead. Leicester have a good run. I think Vardy and Maddison are going to be ones for consideration at that week as well. So very unfortunate for you, Kris, with the Barnes injury. We will move on to that in just a moment. But just to finish my little point on wildcarding, definitely those that are holding on to the wildcard, and you were maybe thinking of wildcarding after the single game week in 29, have a look at the fixtures in game week 30, because your team is probably much better set up for it than you think at the moment. And I think a 31 wildcard looks really optimal to me. That's my strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I should just say the only reason that I went for 26 was injuries, really. The likes of Grealish and Walker Peters forced my hand a little bit. And, you know, doing the numbers really on a lot of the prediction models, but we'll see how it pans out. But yeah, really strong position if you've got the wild card left. 31 is a really good week to target. Obviously, if you still got, lots would have used their triple captaincy and bench boost this week, but if you still got them, there are some nice doubles coming up. So obviously, if you've got KDB or Sterling in 27, it's a very good triple captaincy.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just finding another good time to use your bench boost. And there will be some more doubles. It's fair to say as well, I think there's going to be doubles in 32 as well, where, you know, Spurs will have some nice fixtures as well if you wanted to wait the triple captaincy then.
Yeah, as always, check Ben Krellin's Twitter for the most up-to-date kind of prediction of potential fixtures. Always the best indicator there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did touch on Barnes, who unfortunately for many owners picked up a really bad injury. So we're going to touch on should we be replacing him? So what's the plan there?
Yeah, well, it's sort of been confirmed he's out for about 6 weeks. He's got a knee surgery. So, I mean, I'm surprised they put a number on it, because having knee surgery is quite complicated. You never really know how well the player's going to react after that. But for me, that obviously rules him out. I think it really depends on what your chips you've got left as well. So we've already talked about the wildcard. Obviously, if you can leave him on your bench until 31, if you don't need to make that change for whatever reason, you could just leave him there, just not playing, and then wildcard in 31. But if you do need to replace him, fairly soon, then there are some good replacements out there. And it really depends again if you've already got free Villa, which lots of managers will have going into 26 in this fixture, and they've got up to 29. But Grealish is obviously one that we need to pull out, John, don't we?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, we're going to need to wait until this game week is finished because a lot can still happen. You might even see the likes of Maddison or Grealish returning from injury maybe a bit earlier than expected. And right there, you've got two really good replacements. I mean, ultimately, for many people that still have a free Villa slot, if you have a free Everton slot as well, like there are some viable replacements because you have some potential double game weeks on the horizon. You have the single game week. And with that logic, a nice little sample of teams present themselves. So naming a few, obviously, Villa, Arsenal, Leeds, Leicester, West Ham. And within those teams, you've got some good assets, don't you, Kris? Should we name a few?
Yeah, so Rafinha, obviously, for Leeds, is looking really good at the moment. Saka for Arsenal, also had a good season.
Great value as well. Really
great value,
good price point.
Really great price point. I mean, he didn't obviously start the weekend, but that was purely just to give the guy a rest. He'll definitely be starting the coming games. And obviously, they got a fixture in 29. Jesse Lingard as well, obviously has a fixture in 29. We should just say that he does play Man United in game week 28, which means that obviously he can't play that games. But if it's not a bad option to bring in, play him 27, bench him 28, and then play him 29. As long as your team is set up okay to do that in 28, then there's a good option there. So,
yeah, I think to be fair, as a general rule of thumb for me, like I think the two stand out there are Grealish and Rafinha. He's going to be in those guys will be in lots of teams. The worry though is if you already have 3 Villa slots, like most of us do, might be Martinez, Target, Watkins. Then I don't know if it's justified actually fitting him in. Again, it depends on your strategy, but lots of good options there. Look at the fixtures in front of you. And I think a name from that list, you're generally going to do pretty well.
Yeah, agreed.
So other than that, Kris, do we have anything else we want to cover in this little episode?
No, it's all good. Look forward to the rest of the game week. Hopefully it's gone okay so far, hasn't it? For me, it's gone okay.
I mean, Salah blanking was obviously a little bit annoying, but I've triple captained Salah, you've captained Kane, and I think there's probably disappointment from both of those different clubs. Yeah. Obviously, Kane being the far more popular club, but there's a game against Fulham to go for Fulham, and Chelsea, the best defence in the league right now for Liverpool. So we'll see what happens, but it's FPL. Anything can happen, so fingers crossed.
That's it.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, guys. See you later.